guys, I wanted to make a slightly more serious video today. And sorry, I'm just eating popcorn. My mum made me some popcorn. I want to make a slightly more serious video, and I wanted to address some of the stuff that's been happening in the YouTube world recently, but when I kind of thought about it in a bit more detail, it's just something that generally I think people should talk about. And really what this video is about is I just think that girls need to be a little bit less vulnerable, and I think girls need to be a little bit more aware of like men and guys, and people might take advantage of them, especially like this is kind of more aimed at younger girls rather than like older girls. And I feel like I'm just about to like dive into one of my mum's lectures that she gave me when I was like 15, but she was right. If you go to a party or you go out drinking and you go clubbing and you get drunk and you get intoxicated and you don't have any control over what you're doing, guys may take advantage. I'm not obviously saying every guy is going to take advantage of you, but this video is really to say don't put yourself in situations where you could be taken advantage of. I'm saying it more recently because of like the Sam Pepper stuff that's been happening on YouTube and the internet like recently. Just to say to girls, like, don't put yourself into situations where a guy could potentially take advantage of you. So if you are at school and a much older guy has taken some sort of interest in you, just all I'm saying is just be a little bit more aware of why isn't he interested in girls like his own age. I'm not saying that these relationships where somebody is a little bit older can't work. That is not exactly what I'm saying at all. I just want girls to be a little bit more aware of what's going on around them. You know, there are some really lovely guys out there that wouldn't even dream of taking advantage of a girl. There are some really lovely guys that you want to bring home to your parents and they're like perfect. But there are some bad people in the world that are trying to just take advantage. And they may make a joke about it. They may make you feel silly because you're not reacting the way that they want you to react. But I mean, really what I'm thinking is, I mean, specific examples of what I'm trying to say is if you go to a party and you've had a little bit to drink, make sure that your ride home is already like pre-planned. Don't just go, I'm going to go to this party, I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to get someone to give me a lift home. Because to me, again, that is putting yourself into a vulnerable situation. I'm not saying anything will happen, but I'm saying something could happen. It's the same sort of thing with people that just get lifts with random people on the street and hitchhikers and stuff like that. You don't really know what situation you're putting yourself into. And yes, it might only be like 2% of cases where something happens and you get into a car with a really bad person, but it's still 2% of people, so it's still happening. And also, like, I kind of watch programs like Crime Watch quite a lot, because programs like that, you know, it's kind of real life stuff, real life crime, real life stuff that happens like all the time. And I feel like sometimes when I'm watching a situation where a girl gets raped or a girl is, you know, sexually harassed, I'm not saying obviously in all situations you could have prevented it, but I think in a lot of situations it could have been prevented. So there are horrible people out there that will take advantage of people, but if you are, you know, if you were walking in the dark home by yourself late at night on a Saturday night, potentially you're kind of at risk of something happening to you. Again, I'm not saying it would, but you are putting yourself in a situation where something may potentially happen and nobody would ever find out about it. So I'm just saying, like, to girls that are, you know, obviously like Christmas is around the corner, parties are happening, those kind of situations where you're going to be drinking, you might go out, you might, you know, like, I don't want it to sound like a lecture because I don't really mean it to come across as a lecture. But, you know, all I'm trying to say is that there are not very nice people in the world, and I really want all my subscribers, all my viewers, everybody that watches this video, I just want you guys all to be safe. I don't want anything to happen to you guys. I just want you to be safe. Another example is, you know, if you're out with your friends somewhere and a guy approaches you and he seems to be coming on to you a little bit, you have absolutely no obligation to do anything with him. It doesn't matter what he tells you. It doesn't matter what he says. If you're not comfortable in that situation, you need to get out of the situation. So if you really like this guy, but he's a little bit forward and he's kind of pushing you to things that you don't really want to do, don't see him again. Like, he may be really hot, he may be like every girl's desirable guy, but just don't let him take advantage of you. And there are some guys out there that think that they are God's gift and that they can do this kind of stuff. But all I'm saying is, if you are not comfortable in a situation, let them know. And if they don't make you feel more comfortable, then you just need to kind of walk away. I'm talking partly from experience as well, because when I was younger, you know, my mum used to tell me, don't get a taxi home, make sure you've booked something, make sure you get a friend to give you a lift home. And I wasn't the most rebellious child when I was like 17, but I really look back on it and I think, oh my God, like anything could have happened to me. I remember this one time at university, me and my flatmates went out, and it was a Saturday night. It was like one of the first few weeks of university, and we were standing outside Birmingham. I think it was called The Works then, it's now Gatecrash or something. Standing outside on that corner trying to get a taxi home, and there was just nobody stopping, like no taxi was stopping. They were all full, they were all packed, and we'd been standing on the road for like an hour, and this random guy and his friend just pulled up on the side, and we just asked them to take us home. It was the most ridiculous thing. But we did, and there was 4 of us, which is only why we did it, because there was 4 of us. And the guy did take us home, and they, you know, they were absolutely fine. But it could have been so much worse. Like, how stupid could I have been? Like, that was one of the most stupid things I've ever done. Because you don't want to be that 2% of people that go missing. You don't want to be that 2% of people that get raped. And I know in some situation there really is nothing you can do if you're being, like, abused at home or something like that. You need to talk to somebody about it, first of all. You can't really avoid those sort of situations. But I'm talking about the situations that you have some sort of control over, because you shouldn't put yourself into that situation in the first place. Does this even make sense? Am I just talking rubbish? I don't really know why I'm trying to make this video, but I was watching like Crime Watch not too long ago. I was watching videos about Sam Pepper, and you know, the worst thing about Sam Pepper is that initially I didn't see the serious side of the video. Like, initially I thought it was just as funny as everybody else, and then I realised, when I realised what he'd done and the fact that he got away with it, and he sugarcoated it with these jokes and this funniness and this kind of look of innocence all the time, I didn't actually take it that seriously until I started reading all the other stuff that he'd done. And this B. Dottie made a video about her experience, and I think just Annie, she made a video, I think it's just Annie. She made a video about her experience with him, and you know, now you look back on it, he's a horrible person. Like, he shouldn't be allowed to kind of get away with it so lightly. But obviously things happen, and obviously hopefully he's learned his lesson, and you know, he's realised that actually it's a horrible thing to do. I'm not sure, I don't really know, I don't really follow him on YouTube, but I just want people to just not put themselves into situations where something may happen to them. And if something has happened to you, please don't just not do anything about it. Please don't think it's ever your fault. Please don't ever think that you're not worthy of some justice. Please tell somebody, like, if something's happened to you. I just feel like sometimes, you know, you kind of look at a situation and you go, well, maybe my skirt was too short, maybe that's why he tried it on, maybe that's why he grabbed me because my clothes were too much, or maybe I encouraged him, maybe I flirted with him. And I just think, you know, you don't ask for that sort of stuff. I'm just thinking back on it again. I've had guys in clubs grabbing my arse, lifting up my skirt and grabbing like a chunk of my arse while I've been out clubbing, and I know how horrible that feels. I know how embarrassing it feels when all his friends then turn around and they're all laughing at you. And it is one of the most horrible, most degrading situations to be in. There's nothing you can do because there's like 10 of them and 1 of you. And I don't know, I just think sometimes, you know, you shouldn't put yourself in the situation. If I hadn't walked past a crowd of guys by myself in a club on the dance floor, it wouldn't have happened to me. Like, I know you can't prevent every situation, but I just want people to think a little bit more carefully, especially when there's alcohol involved, especially when there are drugs and stuff. Like, just don't get influenced. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, don't do it. Tell somebody, please tell somebody, like, talk to somebody about it. You watch these programs like on TV, and these like school kind of programs where a girl's been abused and she doesn't tell anybody, and it's because she blames herself the whole time. Every time I watch this, it's because she blames herself, and that is so wrong. I suppose you feel like that because you don't want it to come out, you don't want people to think bad of you, but why would someone think bad of you? Like, you're the victim, you're the innocent one, the other person should be embarrassed, the other person should be punished. And I just really thinking about, you know, alcohol, drugs, parties, Christmas, Sam Pepper, like, just stuff that's making me think, please guys, just look after yourself, take care of your friends, make sure your friends don't randomly leave the club by themselves, make sure they've got a way home, make sure you see them into the taxi. Don't just like take your friend's word for it, because you don't know she's going to make it to the taxi. And I'm thinking of like party situations, and I'll tell you another story actually. One of my very, very, very old friends that we studied with, she basically, this is a story about what happened before I'd actually even met her. So she told me this and it absolutely terrified me. She was out with her friends and she decided to leave early because she had to go. So her friends were all having a party in this pub, like really kind of local pub that wasn't too far from her house. So her friends just like see her off at the bar. She leaves the pub by herself. She walks to her car. She gets into the car, and as she starts to drive home, she realizes actually there's someone in the back seat. And oh my god, like I mean, that story has been in my mind for years and years and years and years. And every time I think about it, like it absolutely terrifies me. So if I go to the movies or if I go out for a dinner with my boyfriend and we've met each other there, I always get him to check the back of my car and make sure I'm in my car before I go home. He has to physically walk me to my car and watch me get in and check my back seat. Same thing, if I watch a horror film, I have to check the back seat before I go, because things like that absolutely terrify me. What she did, and this is amazing because I would never have done something like this, I would never have thought to do something like this. She casually kind of kept driving even though she could see the top of somebody's head. And she basically drove into a petrol station as if she was about to get fuel. She casually put in a petrol, acted again as if she didn't see him, put in the fuel because it was really, really dark. He'd been obviously hiding behind the back seat, and casually put the fuel in. She went into the petrol station really calmly and just said to the person at the counter really quietly, look, I don't want to make a scene, but there's somebody sat in the back of my car. And she just paid for her fuel. So the guy told her to just stay there while they called the police. And then some guy came and like arrested. And that was based on the fact that she'd left her stupid sat-nav in the window of her car. It looked like he'd pulled the thing off the windscreen and then like hid in the back because he didn't know what to do. And absolutely terrifies me. So another thing, do not leave the sticky bit of your sat-nav holder like in your windscreen, because if somebody sees the holder, they're going to know you've got a sat-nav in there and they're going to probably try and break into your car. So that's one thing that I always take down now. I never stick my sat-nav holder like in the windscreen because it just absolutely terrifies me. So girls, just like, please look after yourself. And if you have any tips or you have anything that you want to say, or you have any comments, or you have any like responses to what I'm saying, make a video or write it underneath, because I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this and whether you think I'm just being too mumsy. But I really do care about you guys and I don't want anything to happen to you. And this is the time of year where shit happens, you know, let's face it. Look at Home Alone. The house got broken into at Christmas. Like, all this shit happens around Christmas time. So I will see you guys in the next video, and love you lots, and take care.